And you're going to have to edit that out because it's slanderous. So,
Okay. Hello and welcome back to another What the Falk podcast where we can discuss Sunderland being top of the league. It's coming a nice little, I was going to say occurrence, that's what I meant to say, but Wilson Isidor's 250-yard run into the very depths of Hull City's defence, followed by his Messi-esque chip beyond whoever the jobber in the Hull City goal was, secured a really well-deserved 3 points for the lads, and we're going to get stuck into it because I just like doing it at the minute, and it's really good, and we all enjoy doing it, and hopefully enjoy listening to it. A reason you may not enjoy listening to it is my first guest, Dave Lawrence. Dave, how are you doing? You all right?
yeah, not bad, mate. Miserable as ever. So why not? Let's crack on. And to be fair, pretty interesting game of chess, really, wasn't it? But we scored a worldie. And I think I heard someone say earlier about if Henry had scored that, nobody had probably stopped going on about it for the next decade. And I'm all for it, to be honest.
It's quite funny because I've been at a 90th birthday today in Dumfries, and they got a magician in. He was actually really good magician. But he arrived at like 5 to 3. And he was like trying to get me on the card tricks, and I was like, just give him a minute though, because I'm Isidor's like running 80 yards here, mate. Just give him a minute. Thankfully, I didn't really miss any of it. And when he was like doing the card tricks, I was like, oh, brilliant, well done. It was ace of spades or whatever. I don't know, mate. Cheers. Ross, I don't know if you were at a 90th birthday party. You do look that age, but I don't know if it's your birthday. How are you doing? Are you all right?
Aye, happy as Larry. If Larry is happy, who knows? But I think
Larry?
Dave summed it. I don't know. But Dave summed it up pretty well, like a game of chess. I actually think roles reversed. So we dominated the ball better first half than what we did second half. Yeah, on our counter-attacking chance, we took our chance by Holden, which both coincided with the referee being the best presser of the ball on the pitch for the whole game for both teams. So, it was one of them where we'll get into it a lot more, but having a solid centre half in Metham and having an actual striker on the pitch just made such a difference, and it's one we definitely wouldn't have won that type of game last season.
Kind of win where it was the kind of win where I feel when we first got promoted, and I think Norwich beat us 1-0, and we went, look, pretty even game. We probably should have won that, got a point out of it. And you went, but they've just got so much quality, and that's a difference. That's the kind of game it was, which, I don't want to be hedging our bets, but we looked quality at points, I thought. Pete, we're going to get loads into it, but how are you doing, mate? You all right?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, all great. That's as far as it goes for that one for me. Papers over any cracks of any complaints I had. There were a few, but yeah, great. Those previous seasons, they don't win that one. This time around they do, and look where we are in the league this year.
Yeah, I like being top. It's really nice and really good fun. Pete, I'll stick with you. Look, I normally get you to pick out a player each, but I'm not going to do that because I'm feared that you're going to miss one of these players out, and I don't really want to. So I'm going to give you a player and then tell me why he's class. The obvious option here, and you've been lucky in getting this one, Chris Mepham. What a performance again.
Yeah. What can you say about Chris Mepham today? I mean, it's what's been lacking from Sunderland's defence for the last... Well, when did Danny Barton leave? If Danny Barton had legs that could chase down the fastest defender in the league, he's quality. He's a Premier League footballer playing at the highest level at the Championship has to offer. I mean, he's a brick wall. You said it's an easy one. It's quite difficult because I think I'm going to wrap it up quite short because everybody who was watching that game today could see that Chris Mepham was probably the best player on the pitch for what he did. Unstoppable, unbeatable, strong, even gets away with a bit of luck with the handball. Look, it's a handball. I think the referee has got that wrong, thankfully. And, Hull will probably be absolutely fuming about it. But then again, their managers seem to be fuming about everything.
He seemed mental. And I hate to say anyone's mental because I'm mental, but he seemed crackers.
Yeah.
Like
nuts, absolutely insane. I mean, I don't think it helps the case when you're trying to when you're convinced that every single thing is against you. But anyway, Chris Mepham, unstoppable, unbeatable, fantastic. Long may he continue. I hope he stays fit.
Yeah, and look, me and Ashley were discussing it in the car, and if I go back to the start of the season, if you said to me who's Sunderland's best centre-back, I'd say probably Dan Ballard, but I'm a big Luke O'Nien fan and will stick by him. I don't want to shit on Dan Ballard because this is not a thing of like, oh, Dan Ballard's not very good. But the performances of Alessi, O'Nien and Chris Mepham, if they were all fit based on their recent performance, you could arguably say he's fourth choice at the minute because I know Alessi's injured and that's his big problem, but Mepham and O'Nien have been unbeatable. Alessi played brilliantly when he was in the team, and Ballard...
I'd honestly forgotten that we still have Alessi to come back. That obviously poor lad's been out, but when he was there, yeah, you're right, he was unstoppable. And I think with look, there's a confidence that Chris Mepham gives. There were tackles that he wasn't supposed to be the first one to get to, that he got to, and any little mistakes, and there's always going to be mistakes, and too often Sunderland were guilty of letting that ball bypass the midfield when they went on the counter-attack, and then against a better side than Hull, they'll get punished. But Chris Mepham dealt with at least two off the top of my head I can think of absolutely impeccably. Great player. Happy as can be with him.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. Dave, I'm going to give you another player. I think if Chris Mepham didn't exist, this bloke would have been getting raved about today. I think he's getting raved about a little bit anyway. I don't really need to tell anyone how much I love him. Like, I absolutely adore him, and I'm not frightened to admit it. And I loved him last season. And this season, I just think he looks colossal. Job, just another massive, massive performance in midfield, Dave, from a kid. Again, like, what a talent.
Massively, mate. I think it just shows you his level of understanding of the game of football. You can tell he's been brought up around it. He's absolutely fantastic. There was a load of them did a whole load of graft off the ball today, and I really appreciate it. Hume wasn't his greatest going forward, but off the ball, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, absolutely massive. I thought Bellingham was great. It's a completely different role this year, but yeah, absolute Crufts champion for me. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, superb. Like you say, Terrier. In the midfield, he works and works and works. And there was one point where he got the ball and I was watching it and I was just like, magician finished by this point for the record. And I was just like, look at that, man. Look at that. And like, I was just so buzzing the way he did it. He got a ball that was a little bit short. And I thought he's going to do well there if he can just get to it and just feed it back to O'Nien or Mepham and just kind of keep the ball taken over. And it was like 79th, maybe 81st, 82nd minute. And he took the ball in and just turned the bloke and turned it into a total attack. And I was just like, you just knew what you were doing. Like moons before any of these players that are pressing you even thought the pass was too short. You just knew what you were doing. I don't think, and look, everyone's got their own opinions on it, and I'm sure someone will point out, but I cannot think of a bad game Job's had this season or a game he hasn't influenced heavily. And it worries the absolute life out of me how good he's looking this season. And if there's ever been a time I've been concerned by his name, it would be the fact that maybe some people will pay more money for him because he'll get back in sponsorship. He's on like the EA FC advert and all that kind of stuff. But I think, look, if anyone thinks Bellingham is just living off his name or Job's just living off his name, like watch his performances every week. The boy's a different gravy. I think he's our best midfielder by an absolute country mile. And there's just a little matter of a lovely lad called Chris Rigg. Who's next to him, who might just, probably, I don't know, play for England at some point, most likely. Ross, another player I want to mention, probably a little bit of an unsung hero today because of how good Job and how good Mepham was and how good other players were. He's come in for a lot of stick. I think at some points maybe deservedly so because he's been poor. I thought he was excellent today, Dan Neil. How highly did you rate his performance today?
I thought Neil was great today.
Yeah, me too.
He covered a lot defensively when for some reason Luke O'Nien was playing left wing first half, which is weird. But of course, we'll get into that, I'm sure, when we go through the game itself. But what I like about Neil is, like you say, he was very smart to cover defensively. But today, what was different, probably what he's been most of the season, is when he was on the ball, he was progressive with it, and his pass was positive. He wanted to go forward. He wanted to move the ball quicker. It wasn't in the past where he's probably been this season, I'd say, a bit ponderous on the ball and maybe a bit more sideways. This one, his first thought this time was, can I make a forward pass? And if that's not on, then recycle. Where normally I think he's been taking the safer option. Again, I think that'll probably come with confidence, because since the game where he had a stinker, let's be honest, against Watford, he had a decent game against Derby. He was good against Leeds, and now today I felt like he just took it on another level. And again, I wonder if he needed a break, because the breaks maybe come at a good time for him. But yeah, overall, I thought that was the Neil we're seeing last season, and the way he was spraying the balls to out wide for Roberts, who seemed to be in like yards and yards of space. But yeah, again, if Neil can maintain them performances, it also takes the pressure off Rig and Job having to be 8 every game. And I do think we're going to have to see rotation the next few weeks. So definitely to see Neil look like the Daniel we know, it's a massive bonus, because again, we're top of the league, and Daniel, who was our best player last season other than Clark, hasn't even played well yet, really, until today.
No, I'm a huge Dan Neil fan. I think I said last year that, I think it's at the start of this year, I'd rather sell Jack Clark than Dan Neil, because that's how highly I rated him. And he has been poor this season, but I thought he was really good today. Proper captain's performance, like tireless in many ways. Interesting you brought up that sort of situation with the midfield. Like, I think it's hard to drop any of like Riggy, Job, O'Neill. You can bring in Brown as well, but the lad we brought in deadline day, Salas, looks like he's not going to be around till sort of December. So we're going to have to use those sort of 4 until at least January. But if you were to take somebody out, that makes it quite a difficult decision at the moment, because Daniel's kind of had that big performance. For the Wednesday game, and we'll get a bit more in depth on Wednesday towards the end, but of course, we want to talk about the game today. But is it Riggy you would maybe just like rest the legs with a little bit, maybe bring in Brown, so Daniel can continue and go in on the back of a good performance?
Maybe, but what I thought was very interesting today was the change that we made when we brought Brown on.
Yeah.
Because I automatically thought, oh, well, Rig will come off now. But the fact he took Roberts off and he put Rig out wide right, which is a position we've seen him play for us before last season. And I'm sure he's played there for England 18s a few times. So adds another layer in it, and another interesting dynamic, the fact that we could actually see all 4 of them on the pitch. At one time, if Roberts needs a break, and you see Rig playing as an inverted winger. So yeah, that is another interesting dynamic. And to be fair, I think he was unlucky with the shot that, when Rig went in that position, he was unlucky with the shot that hit the side net. And then Connolly, who, by the way, I thought looked really smart today, something I didn't expect from him. But if he'd released the ball maybe a second or two earlier, Rig would have been clear in on goal on that side, inverting as a winger. So again, it's another dilemma to have, because Roberts, okay, I don't think he had his best game today, but he grafts his nuts off every week, and we can't be expecting that kind of output from him and Mundo all the time and expect them to be perfect. So again, it's another dynamic, and it's something that I don't think any of us would have picked. So good on Lebris and the coaching staff and for doing that, because if we didn't have a clue we were going to do it, Hull definitely wouldn't have been prepared for it.
I think I don't want to ignore this either. I was talking about this on the car on the way back up from Dumfries there as well. We're kind of getting used to, do you know when you have a player that drops like a 7 out of 10 every game and you go, just reliable? Are you getting used to the fact that, to Ross this is, Dennis Serkin just drops an 8 every game? Like, he's just dropping 8s consistently, and you're just going, oh yeah, it's just Dennis Serkin,
And to be fair, he probably had one of his quieter games today, but when they had their spells going forward attacking wise, it was noticeably that it was never on his side, really. and it was always on the opposite side. Because you're not going to get much change out of him. And I think Mundell, for all his attacking stuff, didn't really come off the day. Defensively wise and tactically wise, he switched on. He's spot on to help them out.
Yeah, I honestly, I agree on Mundell. I thought it wasn't his best game going forward. I agree with Roberts. Kind of two of them annoyed me a little bit going forward, but they never shirked the responsibility coming backwards. And, when it's not going for you going forwards, just at least stick to your job. And they've both done that. No one I can really pick out today has been particularly frustrated at. But Pete, few decisions. The handball from Mepham. I think it is a handball. We've sort of said before, yeah. I don't think he's done it on purpose. I don't think he stuck his hand out. But look, if it's the other way around, you're kicking off. But the crucial one for me, if you're looking at it from a neutral perspective, which we never do, is the goal. There's a lot to do, obviously, but they're fuming about that. I've got my own thoughts and opinions on it. Where do you stand on it? Was it something where I've seen someone said, I don't know if they were joking or not, Wilson should have just put it out for a goal kick? No, he fucking shouldn't. But
let's hope that that was said in jest. But
please,
yeah, I mean, but really, I know I saw that as well. Absolutely.
All right, Bielsa, fucking hell.
Absolute madness. Anyway, I feel sorry for anybody who has to watch Hull every week at the minute if they play like that, because they're one of the poorer, not poor footballers. I don't think they're bad footballers, but the style and the way they're set up, it must be turgid to have to watch every week. And the goal comes about, all right, the referee's there. He's apparently, if you read the headlines at the moment, he's been forced to apologise for the decision that he made. But, this isn't a red top British newspaper, so we're not going to go into that.
Not yet.
And not yet. But we are open to sponsorships. Just about anybody. Just about. Within reason. Anyway, so... but they are set up in a way whereby their deepest player, when that ball is lost, and let's face it, before the referee gets involved, the ball's lost. Have a look at where their deepest player is, and I think he's just outside of the D in the Sunderland half. They've got nobody apart from the keeper back, and they've given the ball away. And it's a pass and one brilliant bit of skill by Wilson, and it's in the back of the net. I'm no football coach. I only watch it. But, I know that's not how you have people set up. If you can lose possession and it be turned against you so brutally and so quickly, you've been set up wrong. And, yeah, look, I'd be fuming if it was the other way. Absolutely raging. But trying to look at it neutrally, it's going to happen, isn't it? Yes, it happened twice in the same game. And then there was another one, wasn't there, where he passed the ball off. Anyway, with Dan Neil, there was another one, I think, as well, where it ended up with a drop ball. But it's all crumbs. I think Hull can feel a little bit aggrieved for the handball more than they can about that. Because week in, week out, you'll see that handball given. It wasn't spotted, it hasn't been given. But the ball coming off the referee, I think, just covers up cracks in what was a terrible performance by Hull. And as I said, I feel sorry for their fans that have to go and watch that every week.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree, and I've got a few friends who are Hull fans, but you're talking about structure and how they're set up. I don't think they are. Anyone listening to the preview, they said it was a bit just attacking, but for me, I was like, I couldn't really work out what they were doing. And I looked at the team, and they're not a bad team. I thought the boy up front was decent. The number 9 was a handful at points, but I think looking at the goal, I can prove this if there's any Hull fans speaking. My preview guest messaged me, and he was like, "Oh, blooming hell, what's the ref doing? The penalty in the first half." Which I can understand as well. Take me red and white tinted glasses off. I think I'd be frustrated with that. And I messaged him back now. Well, he's walked into Dan Neil at one point and stopped an attack, and that's where the handballs actually come from, I think. So, him walking into Dan Neil, he did it in the first half, then he did it at Hull, then we score, and then he did it again where he actually, stopped an attack with Daniel. He had to get the ball and go like, all right, sorry, lads. So he was getting in the way quite a bit. I can understand it 100%. I think I'd probably be a bit frustrated because I was frustrated the 2 times you stopped our play. However, the referee got in the way of the Sunderland players twice more than he did get in the way of that corner. That corner, look, you're taking it short. He could have ran maybe a little bit backwards, but there's still a good 3 or 4 seconds before Daniel takes the ball off him. Like,
yeah,
for me, if you're letting a lad run 80 yards, as good as it was, he's run 80 yards because he's done a good, nice sprint, got ahead of the only man that's at the back. Like, Mr. Volta, I can understand your frustration, but have a little look at the fact that someone just out-sprinted your entire team and had a one-on-one from 80 yards out. That's a concern
also,
if you're a fan.
Wilson's finish.
Wow.
That's good. That's beautiful football. And yeah, look. These things come round. I can't. I'm trying my best to be really, really, really like, well, I can see the point what the whole fan, I can't.
Nah.
They'll come round, Hull. They'll come round. You'll get your turn later in the season. This is ours now. Yeah, look, it's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah. But let's look at the positives and see how great that finish was from Wilson. I think it was Ross that said earlier, that goal isn't going in last year.
Nah.
He brings that something extra, does Isidor. And yeah, long may it continue. I think he's class.
Just to stick me pennies worth in, the finish was class, the sprint was class, but the football intelligence to take that touch on the edge of the box while he's unbalanced is phenomenal. Is absolutely phenomenal, because if you watch the replay back at the defender's legs, he's just about to plant his foot to go on the front foot and take the ball off Isidor, and he runs the same way as what he was already running to get in one-on-one on the keeper. It was phenomenal.
If you watch the goal from behind him as well, like the angle where you're like watching the run from behind Sunderland's goal from the whole move, Isidor's first touch is absolutely honking, and he causes himself to have to like run faster. So like you don't notice it on the one where it's like the normal angle, but if you watch it from behind, he knocks it like well far out of his way. So he has to then chase it up. So it's even more impressive that he actually messed up the first touch. But the composure look, I know he's a bit of a bad word around these places because of how he left, but Darren Bent was a pretty decent striker, if I remember correctly. And he's talking about, he's like, we've all been there, and you're just thinking, just get it on target. And he went and he just chipped it, like, in the coolest way possible. And I just think, we all said, please just be good, because you're absolutely class and you just seem to love it. Please be good. Early signs are not just good, they're really good.
And I'm so loath to say this because it'll probably be cack from here on out, but it is Thierry Henry-esque in the way that he runs, the way he takes those touches. Oh, it's got me going a little bit of, va-va-voom, like.
Like that guy, he's bringing sexy football at Sunderland on Sky the week. Excellent. Dave, I wanted to ask you a little bit, because this is a topic we've discussed an awful lot. And I want to go back to something Ross said before. Obviously, everything we just spoke about previously. I'm not going to lie to you. When Wilson came in, I was like, we've signed a bloody winger here. And me and Dave in private would hammer Lee and say, we've signed a winger. This bloke's going to be a winger, and you know it. And then he scored, and Lee just quietly went, and we were like, oh, shite, okay. He's a centre forward by the looks of it, that can play on the wing. Okay, I'm wrong. It's rare, but I am. We've been frustrated to the ends of the earth, Dave, me and you specifically, over the past 100 years about the lack of striker. Wilson Isidor looks the real deal. That goal today was, and I don't think we were over-exaggerating by saying it was Henry-esque. It was. Like, if he does that on a regular basis, he's not going to be at Sunderland very long, put it that way. Mayenda's had a really good start the season, unfortunately injured at the moment, and showing that he can offer us something. And Ross said before about Conley, looked really encouraging today for me. Really encouraging. how confident are you that we've not just like solved the striker issue? We've got options there now, Dave, as well. Like it feels like we're not going to have to sit and go, oh, if only Ross Stewart was not always injured and we didn't sell him.
Yeah, I'm I'm still going to stick to my stance that Wilson is a winger who can play as a centre forward.
No,
I am, because you look back historically, anyone who scored a goal like that, and it was phenomenal. I'm not taking anything away from it whatsoever. I remember Gareth Bale doing something similar. I remember Henry doing something similar. Messi did it.
Henry started as a winger.
Exactly that.
So
and I've got no problem with the fact that he may end up, but I think that goal.
He scored 3, Dave.
I think
Get off the fence, centre forward. No, not having it. Right, anyway, Ross, as you were saying.
The one thing I will say is Aaron Connolly looks very, very good. I was not sure on it, but Ross did highlight it, and he's completely right. His football intelligence again today was very, very good. Won us fouls up the pitch, which, when you think about the size of him compared to the centre-halves that Hull have got, to be putting his body in the right position and breaking down the tempo of the game when they're throwing everything forward, if that's what you want to put it. I don't think they did, but yeah, we have got options. I think Mayenda looks more like a natural centre forward. I think Connolly knows what he's doing up there. Listen, I can't argue with Wilson. I'm not sure he's going to be the answer to 15 to 20 goals every season as a natural centre forward.
Do you actually not? Because I sort of do, me.
I hope he does. I don't see it, but I think I see that in him today, like moments of absolute magic, but not on a constant. Otherwise, he would be Thierry Henry, wouldn't he? And I'd take that, but he ain't going to be with us very long, like you say.
It's happened rarely, Dave, and I've said it on a public forum that you're my favourite, but I might fight you on this. He's fucking class, and I think you're talking shite.
I am not denying that he's class. That today, that goal. Do you remember the one where, especially as you're saying about the touch, his first touch, because it was honking? Do you remember the Gareth Bale goal where he's run off the pitch
against Inter?
Yeah, it genuinely reminds me of that, because Bale's like, he's almost in the crowd and then comes back on. It's obviously a different level and stuff. Please don't I'm getting excited there for all those people who think I'm boring. I really enjoyed it. I think it was brilliant. It's worthy of winning any game of football. And I guess that's what I'm saying with Wilson. No matter whether he plays on the wing, no matter whether he plays through the middle, we do have options. We have options everywhere now. Rigg went out under the right day. I saw a couple of people having a go at Rigg. The problem is with Chris Rigg, when you give him the ball, he stand out. When he hasn't got it, he doesn't influence the game as much. But that's going to come. He's only 17-year-old.
12.
I just think when he's got the ball at his feet, something's going to happen every time. And I'm just really excited. Did someone say eight first-team injuries today? And we look at our bench, and that was pretty strong, to be fair. So you might as well just call the championship off now. Tell the Leeds fans to stop crying if you're going to win the league. Simple as that.
I sat and watched the game with a Leeds fan today, right? And there was a point when I was like, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I went, oh, well, we deserve a bit of luck. Bugger it. I don't think there's any. I think they've had time to clear it, but we deserve a bit of luck. And the daggers I got from Ashley's dad, who's a Leeds fan, I was like, sorry. Also mentioned that when he brought a magician in, I also saw my own version of a magician in terms of Islam Meslier, who turned 3 points into 1 point a couple of weeks ago, which was very impressive, and I enjoyed it a lot. Ross, a couple of listeners' questions we've got, because we've got 10 minutes, because I'm not paying for the premium because it's a stupid podcast. Why would I pay money towards doing it? That would be ridiculous. A lot of them kind of stuff of what we've went over in terms of how good Mepham was, sort of changing the team round a little bit in terms of Wednesday, because we've got a quick turnaround and stuff like that as well. But this is probably the one I've picked out. It's our best points total after 10 games in our history or in this division or something like that. At what point do we start getting excited? And there's another question where they say the league starts to take shape after 10 games. The top two is going to be tough. Are we realistically looking at the playoffs automatics? I think it's a solid question, because I think we're 10 games in and we're top, not on goal difference, not by a couple of points. Not on goal difference, not like narrowly. We're clear at the top of the league. And whenever we lose a game, we bounce back when we've played good teams. Like for me, Burnley, Leeds, Middlesbrough, I think on the day, shaky, but I think all those sides will be up and around it. And we've been fine. Like, look, there's another, 30 something games or something to go, but we need to really be maybe getting a bit excited now because we're top after 10 games and that's when the league starts to kind of show itself.
Yes and no. So I think that the first 12 games shows the teams who are going to be there or thereabouts for the top 6 or 8. You know what I mean? There's always like a group at the top where you think, yeah, they're going to have a good push. I think if we're there or thereabouts after Christmas, then we get excited about automatic promotion. The thing is with automatics, we know it's a slog of the championship and we've only had one Saturday, Tuesday so far, to my knowledge. And that's when the bigger squads and the better squads get results. If we get another few results the next 2 games, then that's another tick in the box. Again, got to get through January as well because we've been quite lucky in a way where we haven't been affected by a sale in January yet. If we're at the top and we've got players doing it on a consistent basis, I think that's when, as well, you get a lot of people going, why, wait there. Where, for instance, Crystal Palace were all over Job in the summer, right? They offered good money, supposedly. Job went, no, I don't want to go, and the club went, right, we're rejecting it. They need a midfielder to stay in the Premier League, and they can see Job's just going to get better and better. They might go, oh, there's 25, 30 million for you. That's when you go, shit, what do you do now? You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a hypothetical that could happen. So I say from now we'll look like we're going to be there or thereabouts to the playoffs without a doubt, looking at the quality in the championship for the first 10 games. If we're still there at Christmas in the top 4 and in touching distance, I'd say that's when we're in a proper title race. But it's still early days. We need a lot of things to go right injuries-wise, mainly the fullbacks, let's be honest. That's where it is for me.
I have to say, and I know it's like one of those things where like we've got used to him not being there, unfortunately. Obviously, signed a new contract this week. But I wish Huggins was fit. I honestly think from what I've seen of Huggins last season that, bad saying this, but I think a fully fit Huggins is my right back every time. And I think he offers so much. And I think, look, even if you don't agree with that, having Hume and Huggins as your options, and then if you need to rest Cirk and having Huggins on the other side, like I just wish, like then you got Alessi as well. Like that's the thing. Like we're talking about like certain people saying, "Oh, Leeds is like squad and Burnley squad and X, Y, and Z," but like I think people are forgetting how many players we've got out. Like Mayenda, Huggins, Ballard. Like there's players that are out of the team that I haven't even mentioned there. We've got this Salas that's played in the Champions League 2 years ago. That's meant to be a different gravy. We've had Brown out for a couple of games not that long ago. We are picking up results with injuries. If we can get some of those back, and I know Huggins is not going to be one of them, like I just feel like I still feel like we've got another level to go, and I don't know what it is.
Graham, you didn't even mention Sealed there as well.
For a reason.
But to be fair, I think Sealed, when we were playing well,
yeah, he's all right.
I thought he played well. And
yeah,
he's one of them as well who he's not great at the position, but he can actually cover right back. So even if you have a game up, like, let's be honest, Hume's going to get a suspension soon. And out of if you're going to have to basically change the back line to cover him, whereas if we had Sealed fit, he's one you could put it right back for one game and he could do a job.
I obviously watch for my job a lot of Scottish football up here, and like I don't want to get anyone excited, and I know some people don't think Scottish football is the same level. I personally think there's plenty of teams in the Scottish Premiership that mirror what you get in the Championship, and it's a next season thing. Trantis has looked decent. I've seen him in the flesh a couple of times, and he's looked pretty tidy. But quick one before we sort of go, I'll come back to you, Pete, on this one. Quick turnaround, Luton away. I think, as much as it made me laugh, because I really have nothing against Watford, but their admin I evidently do, as you can tell. But it's a big win for Luton, who've had a bad season. how tough of a game is it, and how do we set up for that on Wednesday?
I mean, I think they. Sorry, I'm on. I thought I was off there. Sorry about that. I think they're set up for it pretty much the same way as they've set up for games at home all season. They'll be looking to contain them. They'll be looking to get that high press, and it's a game they should be winning. They are going to be a tougher test than some of the teams you'll face in this league. They've still got players that got them in the Premier League. They've still got some players that played in the Premier League. And they're on the back of that 3-0 win, which is against it's a local rivalry. Do we call that a derby, or is it a local rivalry?
No, apparently they really hate each other.
Oh, there you go. So whether it's a derby or a rivalry, they hate each other, and that's all that matters. So yeah, obviously the silliness from the Watford admin. I think somebody might be having a word with them in the future, or not. Maybe they just don't back down, double down, and just go worse as the season goes on.
Like the amount of managers they sacked, they're going to be going through admins on Twitter soon, aren't they? We'd like to welcome our 11th social media manager to the podcast. I don't do podcasts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got you. Well, they start bringing them in. Which Italian club is it that they're tight with?
Udinese.
They start bringing it. Just start typing in Italian all of a sudden on the Twitter.
Where's the Twitter updates in Italian? We've got Fabrizio in because Stephen messed it up.
I was told to be very quick here. How do I think it's going to go? I think Sunderland will win. Sunderland will beat Luton. Hold me to that one. 78 points to go, 81 goals to go for that 100 total. I haven't done that in a couple of weeks. I'm fairly confident Sunderland can beat Luton.
Yeah, me too, but I take a draw. Ross?
Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm not daft.
Yeah, I take a draw. Ross, quick one. What do you fancy for Wednesday?
I'd take a point, but I think we'll nick it 2-1, and I think Aaron Connolly will come off the bench and get his first goal, because I was really, really, really impressed with him today, and I feel like he probably came on at the wrong time to influence the game in the way he did, whereas Luton away, if it gets to 1-1 and we need a goal, we'll get his chance.
Dave, finally you get the final word, you dirty dog. Score prediction for Wednesday, mate?
I'm going to go, we just don't concede goals, which is quite nice.
Oh, I've said that now, brilliant.
Definitely. So I think we'll win 2-0. And I've just got a really weird feeling that Labrie starts Tommy Watson. I don't know why. I've just got a really strange feeling that he's going to do that. Watson to score, as well as our non-out-and-out centre-forward Wilson. Love it. Come on, how are the lads?
Right.